On September 29th, 1996, the Nintendo 64 released in North America. The N64 would go on to release 296 games in its console library, and I've collected every single game in that library. Over many years of collecting video games, I found every Nintendo 64 game, every Nintendo 64 game box, and all but one Nintendo 64 manual. Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut was a Blockbuster exclusive that today can sell for thousands of dollars, complete in the box. The N64 is my personal favorite console ever released by Nintendo. I have the box, I have the game, but I don't have the manual. It sold well enough at 33 million units, but that was 16 million units shy of the Super Nintendo and 29 million units shy of the NES. I cannot talk. In order to get that manual, I'm going to be hunting for different video games, toys, and collectibles, buying, trading, and reselling my way up to the amount of money that I need to get that manual. Nintendo ended up being beaten handily by Sony's brand new PlayStation console, today known as the PS1. The PS1 would go on to sell over 102 million units and release 1,278 games in its total console library in North America alone. I know that that's a little nuts. Today I'm out game hunting to build up the funds to finish the hunt. Today I'm joined by John and his brother Brandon, as well as my good friend Mike.
Hey guys.
What's up? Good to see you.
Alright, so what are you guys looking for today?
Video games, always. VHS.
Uh-huh.
Some old digital cameras.
Oh, dude, you're at the right place for sure. Well, let's go in. Well, you got fun stuff today.
So much are the Wii games.
Quite quickly, we find a table with a bunch of Wii U games out at it, but none of them are priced. The vendor tells us to come back later, so we're going to walk around for a little bit and see what else is here. The Kirby on Wii U is a great.
I want those for my kids.
Yeah.
You know, like we've been playing Crafted World.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. You and I are going to be looking for the same thing. If you want it for your kids, I'm going to get it away, but if not, I'm going to grab one of these antique knives and we're going to throw down, okay?
Fair enough.
Okay. These Japanese toy robots are highly collectible for toy collectors. Unfortunately, I know very little about them. I don't collect toys because I'm a grown-up.
Everyone's crowding around Dusty because he has just crazy toys and collectibles this morning. So if you're a toy collector, you're in a lot of heaven right now. John, may the best man win.
Good luck.
I have been told more than once that I am the twin of Pogs. I have been told of all games released for the original PlayStation, Gran Turismo 1 sold the most at 10.85 million copies. But even with its smaller install base, the N64 had one game that sold even more. Super Mario 64 would go on to sell 11.9 million units during the console's lifespan.
84. I was at the 88 Olympics.
Were you?
Yeah. I have memories of that.
Really?
Wait, is 84 LA or 88 LA?
I think 84 was LA.
Oh, I was at the 84 Olympics.
The original Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64 was recently in the spotlight, where a sealed graded copy sold at auction for over $1 million, though not without an incredible amount of controversy. If you just wanted a complete in-box copy like this, you'd be looking at about $100, not $1 million.
I never thought I'd see the day where John would buy a Phantom of the Opera on cassette. That's beautiful.
After Super Mario 64, the second best-selling game on the console was Mario Kart 64, had 9.8 million copies. The next bestseller after that was GoldenEye at 8.09 million copies.
Megan and I bonded on that pretty early on, and then I just bought the shirt this week. It's glow in the dark. It's got the big mask on it.
During the Nintendo 64's life cycle, we got the first versions of two of Nintendo's most enduring franchises. The first is Super Smash Bros., the second is Mario Party. The original games can both be found on the N64. But it's impossible to talk about the N64 without mentioning the company Rare, who would give us classics like GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Diddy Kong Racing, Perfect Dark, and a few others that would end up being some of the best games released on the console. In fact, many critics argue that Banjo-Kazooie is the better 3D platformer over Super Mario 64. That's my take on it, too.
What's with you and swords at this swap meet, man?
I don't know, but it's got Knights of... What does that say?
Sidonia?
If you're collecting for the N64 today, everyone's got to get at least one of these games and add it to their collection. As we venture forth, I'm looking for items that I can buy and resell in order to build up funds towards the purchase of the manual, and I get my first item of the morning with the Doomacorn figure.
I'll do it. 15?
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
This thing is brand new, factory sealed for 15 bucks, sells for 30 to 40 bucks online. Very happy with that purchase.
Guys, I bought the Doomicorn for 15 bucks.
What?
Yeah.
I might have overpaid a little for this game, but NFL Street 2 on the Xbox is such a great game. If you like sports games and you like arcade sports games, I think this is one of the very best ones ever created. There's just enough of the kind of silly goofiness that you would expect in like an NFL Blitz or NBA Jam style game, but done differently and uniquely enough to make it its own experience.
Sorry.
10 bucks.
And also, it's got like Exhibit on the cover. Don't you want Exhibit on the cover of one of your video games? I know you do.
There's what you want, John. Crazy Frog Arcade Racing.
I used to have Crazy Frog Racing on the PS2. It's not the worst game I've ever played.
Dusty has more crazy toys than you've ever seen.
But I don't own it anymore.
NHL?
Yeah.
It's the
That's
crossover.
the one where they had the wrestlers play hockey.
That's where Sting came out of the rafters
Yeah.
with their skates on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things got pretty wild.
Yeah, totally.
It was the 90s.
Because there's 296 games on the N64's library, it's actually a very popular console for retro collectors to collect a complete set for. Because relatively speaking, 296 games is not a huge amount to be overwhelming like the PlayStation's over 1,200. I began collecting for the N64 and going for a complete set because originally when I was buying N64 games back in the 90s and early 2000s, I would keep the original boxes and manuals in really good shape.
People would come into my college dorm room and be like, why are you keeping all these boxes? But I kept them. And then I started collecting more of them.
Then when I got into collecting really heavily about 10 years ago, I said, you know, I'm going to make it a goal to buy every single game, complete in box for the N64, and I'm going to take my time to do it.
And it was fun to have the goal of getting the boxes and all the games for the console.
I felt like, you know what, I got a head start because I have all of these boxes that I've kept in really good condition. I started collecting, started acquiring, started accruing, trading. I became known as the N64 guy. People would trade back and forth with things for me, and I would end up building up this collection slowly over time. I think one of the things that makes collecting fun is when you set a goal and you just focus on that goal because it's fun to chip away at it over time. It also was not really about having all the games as much as it was finding all of the games.
All right, so we just went back to the video game booth to find out what the prices were on a couple of Wii U games.
Most people who get into collecting will tell you that it's as much about, if not more so, about the hunt and the community around the hunt than it is about the actual items themselves.
It's a little more than we're going to spend. Good luck.
The challenge of finding every game is really high, but even more so is the challenge of finding every game box and every game manual. Why? Well, for the reasons you think. You'd get that game for your birthday or for Christmas, and then you would usually discard the box, maybe keep the manual.
Hey, John.
Yo.
So if you find them today and they're still in pretty good condition, it can be a bit of a miracle. A lot of people kept their manuals, but they would write in them, pages would get torn or bent up really bad.
But more than anything, it's just a console that I really enjoy.
Video games have gone from being games that people play to collectibles that people grade. It's a big shift that's really happened, and it's frustrated many people who just want to play and enjoy the games, which you can do in a lot of ways without having to collect a physical copy.
And when I go back, because I grew up with it, I still just have a lot of fun playing it.
Going through all of this, spending 10 years searching, digging, finding, trading, buying, selling, doing all of this, that's a lot of effort and time, and I want to get one manual. Why am I doing this? A Sega Tower of Power catches my eye. If you don't know what that is, that's the Sega Genesis, a Sega CD, and the Sega 32X all plugged in together to play all of those different kinds of games for your Sega consoles connected. I don't really know what they were thinking. If that's there, that means there's going to be Sega CD and 32X games. I've got to dig around here and see what we can find.
So we're here, and we're going to wait and see if they will open it, because there's a lot of games down there.
But they didn't just have video game stuff. Oh no. If you collect VHS, this might have been something of a gold mine of a table for you.
So you see always the like Little Mermaid and stuff, clamshells, but not Sign of Zorro. That's pretty fun. All right, John, what'd you get?
Got Sorority House Massacre and Horror Play.
How much?
$7 a piece.
Longtime viewers of the channel know I'm not a big VHS guy, but I couldn't resist this pickup in hopes to build funds towards the manual. This cover variant is very different than the other one, and this one is a bit more collectible than that other color.
Just grab this for 12 bucks. Apparently this is a bit of a variant cover. Pretty cool.
I don't know anything about the Extro movie other than it's an alien, and if I see horror stuff, I'm gonna take a look.
That's rain, dude. This is drizzly goodness.
Now, indeed, there is a box of games down at this vendor's table, sitting underneath the table of VHS stuff, but they're not quite willing yet to open everything up and let us take a dig, so we're gonna walk around and give them some space. I don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, I kinda am that guy. You would too.
How much is the book?
Over the past couple of years, I've noticed that strategy guides have really gone up in collectability, especially for franchises like Resident Evil. This was $8, I was not leaving it behind. Fortunately, it was a double, so I'm gonna sell this one and put the money towards the manual fund.
So John just comes back with this box of goodness. Oh my gosh.
Zelda.
The 2 Game Sharks in there alone are probably worth, I don't know, close to $300.
And a Switch dock and a GameCube. Any games on the GameCube?
Let's open the GameCube. Moment of truth.
And how much did you pay for all that?
$175.
I mean, ridiculous. Speaking of hunting and flipping, let me tell you a little bit about this series and some of what I have in mind for it as it goes along. See, a lot of us have seen a lot of people flip their way to big collections, or they go into the value of things, and that's all really fun. I love seeing that stuff because the treasure hunt aspect of it is a lot of fun, mixed with the nostalgia of the games, but there's a lot that I want to explore, which is really the mind of the collector. I want to get into how I think about this, but how other people think about this as well. A lot of people see this and they go, oh, you're a hoarder or you're addicted. I think those are fair questions to bring up and to really explore. My hope is that during this series, we don't just talk about the games and the library and the history, but that we get into some of this deeper stuff behind this to really answer the question of what motivates this admittedly peculiar behavior.
Mike, what have you grabbed this morning so far?
I grabbed a really cool Queen Mary hat that
Yep.
was actually made by Disney.
Yep.
Which I don't know why they have a Queen Mary connection. And then I got an ashtray that's actually from Bugatti,
Which is awesome.
which is pretty cool, and a little hand warmer thingy as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a successful day for me.
Let me tell you about today's sponsor, Wicked Warlock. Have you ever wondered to yourself what could make games more immersive? Well, Wicked Warlock had this idea to make scented candles that fit into D&D campaigns that really bring another element of immersion into the story that you're building. So this one is called Elven City, and it's supposed to smell like what an Elven City might smell like, and it smells lovely. In addition to Elven City, there's also other scents like Tavern, Dwarven Mine, and all kinds of other stuff that just smell really good. Don't worry, Tavern doesn't have like alcohol and urine for smells. It just smells really good. I just like having these in the game room because they smell nice and fresh, especially when you got a bunch of people over playing video games in the game room. But even better is that my wife thinks these things smell awesome. If I were to bring home these candles and light them in the house, would you be sad about that?
No, I'd be happy. I was
Doesn't it
actually
smell
happy.
better in here?
Thank you, Wicked Warlock. Use my link in the description below to get 15% off your order right now, and thank you so much to Wicked Warlock for sponsoring today's video. This vendor had Alien and Aliens in a special edition Laserdisc format for $10 each this morning, and I could not say no. I'm noticing the prices on this one can be as much as $80 sold on eBay, and this one for Aliens, $25 for these special editions. The discs themselves look immaculate. Everything inside is in incredibly clean condition. Between the two films, Alien is definitely my preferred one over Aliens, but I actually think that it's done some really interesting things in the more recent entries, particularly with the film Prometheus. There are sequences in that movie that were so intense and exhausting in ways that were just like, I cannot believe what I'm watching, and I was fully hooked in on the experience. I did think that some of the philosophical stuff that they were going for was ambitious, but ultimately pretty muddled at the end, but still the ambition that it existed at all to think about our creation and origin story is just a good one to think about in general and is high concept inside of a thriller action film. I'm excited to see what Noah Hawley is going to do with the Alien franchise. He's working on a TV series. He's also the same guy who did the Fargo TV series. I definitely love the Fargo series. If you haven't seen it, watch my season 5 breakdown on the second channel, Mort's Attic. It's one of the best seasons of any television show I've ever seen, and if he can approach Alien with the same kind of approach and reverence that he did with Fargo, I think Aliens is in very good hands going forward.
These games that they said come back in 30 minutes, it's been about 30 minutes, but all right, between you and I, I'm guessing sold. Like, they're already all gone. What do you think?
I think all the good ones are gone. We did buy at least some VHS from them.
We did.
Hopefully that's
our good faith offering.
it in.
Yeah. We also did just get laser discs. I got these Alien ones, and you got Army of Darkness. $10 each on all these. We're still at this VHS gaming booth, waiting for them to open the games and give us some prices, but I don't think it's going to happen this morning.
Still not ready.
Who got toasted in this deal earlier? I want to know. I'd like
won?
to hear when somebody got toasted.
Who won the VHS
You win
face-off?
the VHS face-off, or did Blake win the VHS?
I didn't.
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
I think it was a tie.
It was a tie.
Blake got the boost because of his magical facial hair.
Yeah, it's just
and
the
head
hair and
Yeah.
the facial hair.
Yeah.
Does Blake's hair fit on it?
On him? Let's figure it out.
You're back. Back from where? I'm not sure.
We're going to have to get a little bit more creative because I'm not sure that this is going to get opened up and brought out today, even though they brought the box to the swap meet. So I bring up a proposal to the vendor and I say, look, can I open the box and go through it? I will show you the eBay sold listings, and then I'll give you an offer that I would want to pay. If you don't like my offer, it's all good. If you do like my offer, let's see what we can do.
So he's letting me go through them, but then I'm going to go through the prices on it.
Like, I don't want to be like country vintage. I want to be like French vintage.
I dug through the whole box and grabbed 2 games that really stood out to me.
Where's your stack?
I'm grabbing these 2 so far.
The first was Gaiaris, which is a cult classic shoot 'em up for the Genesis that I don't know that I've ever seen before, but this cover and the artwork really stood out to me. And the other is a sealed copy of Corpse Killer on the Sega 32X. I'm not really willing to pay brand new sealed prices for it, but I also recognize it's probably going to be more expensive than an open mid-condition copy of it might be going for. Based on eBay sold listings, my initial valuation of the games in their current condition is about $200, so I come up with an offer of $125.
125. Dice aquí. Me ofrece 125 por los dos.
The vendor came back with 70% the value at $140. Ordinarily, I might not pay that much, but because of the uniqueness of these items, I'm going to do it.
They were pretty not wanting to open things and trying to respect that and their time and everything, but at the same time, wanting to try and make a fair deal. So even though this Corpse Killer is sealed, the box is pretty damaged.
Look how damaged the side of it is. It really is squished together.
I didn't think that a fully new price was justified on that because someone who buys it sealed at this stage of the game is probably going to want it graded, not to play it.
But even with the crushing, the factory seal is totally intact.
But this shooter game, I can't pronounce it.
Gaiaris. This is a shoot 'em up for the Genesis that looks to be something of a cult classic. It's apparently incredibly difficult and challenging, but also a lot of fun.
This game has solds on it between $120 and $180. And this Corpse Killer, I think, used was like around $40.
How would you value this game based on current sold conditions and being sealed and new, but I don't know, I felt like a slightly better than used valuation was the right thing to do.
When you find rare stuff like this, you kind of have to do it. What do you think of the Nintendo 64?
It's honestly a pretty good console.
Yeah.
I don't really play many Nintendo games. I'm more of a PlayStation guy.
What do you think about my goal of trying to get the Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut manual to complete my N64 collection?
Isn't it like $5,000?
Little around there.
Around it?
What do you think about that idea?
That's pretty awesome. Honestly, I think you should do it.
So here's where we go from here. I'm not just going to show you what I spend, but also what I sell, and I'm going to take a percentage of the profits of those sales and put them in the Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut Manual Fund.
Today was really about quality over quantity on video 1 of finishing the hunt on the N64.
Once I get the amount that I need, I'm planning to buy that manual from another collector if I can find one who's willing to sell it to me. At which point I'll add the manual to the collection and have completed the North American Nintendo 64 library. I am very excited for where this is going to go, and I'm thrilled that you're here to join me in the journey as well. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.